much like PTSD, there seem to be two kinds of camps of being suicidal. They can overlap, but they are two kind of different extremes of how people grapple, how people kind of contemplate suicide. With PTSD, you have something that's called uncomplicated PTSD, which is where you experience a large focused traumatic event or a series of related events. It involves persistent experiencing of trauma related to a specific event or memory in your life to this person, and now they are away from it, and now they have to deal with it and work through it, and there is a clear before and after in their brain. The other kind of PTSD, actually more spoken about nowadays, is called complex PTSD. This is where people have a lot of small events that occur over a longer period or occur over their entire life that coalesce into constant fear and anxiety within the psyche, and it's something that people have been dealing with a large portion of their life. So instead of having one big event, you have lots of small events that are related to one another that kind of just put you in a constant state of fear and anxiety and depression. So the second version is often a lot harder to diagnose and to treat and to recognize and to overall deal with. This is because you might not know any better. You might not recognize how bad your life is because you've just been living it and you think everyone else has to deal with this kind of trauma and this kind of experiences, and in reality they don't. It may also be hard to pinpoint certain events or certain experiences as traumatic or damaging because you have no proper comparison of what is normal. This is your normal, and no reason to think why your life is particularly bad because you've just kind of developed a thick skin to what's going on. It's sort of like the frog in the boiling water analogy. They don't know it, that they're going to be boiled alive. They just think they're in for a nice hot bath. And so when it comes to suicide and feeling suicidal, I feel like there are two camps that kind of go hand in hand with the PTSD analogy. You can have situations where you have one large event you feel suicidal from, or you feel like you want to kill yourself from, or you might think about suicide after you've experienced something very traumatic and you don't feel like you can go on anymore. And these feelings can be very instantaneous and they can often be very fleeting. You can often deal with them. And there is this slow progression of intermittent life events that make you feel like absolute crap all the time. And there is this constant cloud of suicide looming over your head. And the second one can feel harder to pinpoint as true suicidality. And it may be harder to come out of and come back from, even counseling, even with the proper therapy. Often you kind of feel like you just need to give yourself a reason to not think about suicide, to not feel like your life is not worth living, and to give yourself a reason to want to live, want to see the future. Something to lift the cloud before you drown in the gloom and in the rain. You start to feel like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just don't want to see what the future holds. Because you are doing the same thing day in and day out, and you just don't see a way out of the maze and you feel stuck. You may start saying things like, fuck this stupid life, fuck society, fuck my job, fuck this goddamn apartment, fuck my stuff, fuck this car. I just want to...
You know about getting out of this sick society. Society.
Society!
Society, man.
Society!
Society! Society!
Society!
Society! You know? Society!
Gone. Fuck society. I just want to leave it all behind and travel the world and wander around like a hobo.
Outdoorsman. What's your fascination with all that stuff?
I'm going to Alaska. I'm gonna be all the way out there, all the way fucking out there, just on my own. You know, no fucking watch, no map, no axe, no nothing. Just be out there. Just be out there in it. You know, big mountains, rivers, sky.
Radically change your life in order to feel like you want to live it and be active rather than just letting it pass you by. Taking real steps to actually want to change your life and actually wanting to live your life rather than just feeling like you're surviving.
You should make a radical change in your lifestyle.
I had hit a wall. Then I can't do. If I'm going to have to keep doing what I'm doing for the next 35 years until I retire, I am going to commit suicide. And that's is kind of scary to think about. Like, if I am going to be absolutely miserable in this life, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this anymore. And it started feeling like anything would be better than this. And suddenly the prospect of being basically homeless and wandering the edges of civilization with very little money didn't sound that bad. In fact, it sounded freeing. No watch, no home, no car, just the wild and free. These kinds of suicides can often feel abrupt. Like they just can't take it anymore, but they never really talked about it. They thought up until this point they were coping, and they really just kind of needed the device. Well, I didn't think they'd actually just go wandering around the country for 2 years.
Ow! Ow, 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 ow! No phone, no pool, no pets, no cigarettes.
I always felt like I was mentally on the peripheral of society anyway, like I was watching humanity from afar rather than actively participating in it. I was never really good at living the normal adult life anyway, so it was either take control and choose how I was going to hit rock bottom, choose how I actually wanted to live my life, rather than ending up on the street hitting rock bottom with a needle in my arm. But the change in your life that you are looking for might just be the thing that kills you anyway. The thing that you are looking for to make you want to live might just be the thing that kills you. You have to make such a radical change in your life that this change could actually kill you rather than you wanting to die yourself. And I think I've reached that point.